Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of Trader Talks with me, Ian MacDonald. You know, autoTRADER.ca research back this week showed us that of the Canadians who still intend on buying a car, a full 50% of them said their urgency to do so had either stayed the same or even increased because of the COVID-19 pandemic. So while we can see that there's still demand out there in the market and business to be done, what is autoTRADER.ca doing to help customers better connect and engage with auto intenders during COVID-19? Well, that's the subject of this week's Trader Talks as we sit down to learn more about the Remote Selling Suite. I hope you enjoy, and if you have any feedback or comments or ideas for future topics of videos that you'd like to see, just leave them in the comments. Today, we're going to be talking about a new suite of tools that we're offering to marketplace customers called the Remote Selling Suite. And I'm very happy to be joined by Jill Hadfield, who is our Chief Product Officer at Trader Corporation. Jill's been with Trader for 8 years. She's currently responsible for the whole dealer-facing product range in our business, including Marketplace, T-Advantage websites, vAuto, and Instant Cash Offer, among other products. So good morning, Jill. How are you doing?
Good morning. Doing well. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Wonderful. So good point. We're recording this video here on the 3rd of April, 2020. And today, as I said, we're going to be talking about a new offering from Trader Corporation on the marketplace that Jill has been putting together with her team, specifically designed to help our customers as we collectively try to navigate these challenging times that are being caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. So with that in mind, I think we'll get straight into it here, Jill. So Chief Product Officer at Trader Corporation, tell me a little bit more about what your role entails and the kind of things that you're working on at Trader.
Sure. So the team that I work with at Trader, we are primarily responsible for the products and features that we add to autoTRADER in support of our retailers. So anything new from a feature or enhancement perspective to help make strong connections between consumers and the advertisers on our site. The team is responsible for solutioning and coming up with ideas to solve problems, figuring out how those products should work, what they should look like, doing the research, whether that be a formalized research with the marketing department or speaking to customers and running ideas by them. We run panels of customer research to put ideas and concepts in front of them and refine it. And then they pretty much shepherd the ongoing development of those products until we decide they're ready to bring to market. So that's primarily the focus, and it's always very performance driven. Anything we're working on, we're always looking, as I said, to improve and enhance that engagement between consumers and our retailers.
That's fantastic. And so it's quite an ecosystem that's going on now at Trader Corporation, isn't it? Across all these different elements. It's not just the marketplace these days. As you were saying, you know, some of the other tools like websites and things like that. You know, one of the recent products that I really loved and that we get some fantastic feedback on from customers was TopSpot. And so I imagine that was something that your group researched and put together.
That's right. That would have been our most recent product launch. It came out just at the tail end of 2019. And prior to some of the changes the last few weeks, we were still working on what the next evolution and iteration of that was going to be. We have a number of products in that suite that are going to be coming out in the future. But actually, from a team perspective, we've made quite a pivot since everything's been going on globally with COVID and done some thinking about how we might move things around in our roadmap in order to better serve the community and our retailers during the changes in the market that we're seeing.
Great segue. So today, obviously, the main thing we want to focus on is this remote selling suite that you and your group have developed there. So what's the kind of background that we need to understand before we talk about the actual tools that are involved in that suite? So, you know, what are you seeing on the marketplace, the current situation? What was the genesis of this idea to then develop this new remote selling suite?
So it's interesting because a number of the products that are in the remote selling suite pre-existed on the site and or we had in development but had a different idea in mind for them. And if we go back about 3 weeks when everything started to change for us as a country and certainly as a company, autotrader, really our first move was to help protect our employees, get everybody set up at home. We were already, as a digital business, well set up for remote working, and then make sure we had continuity in business for our retailer partners. So that didn't take us very long because, as I said, we work digitally very often. But the minute we all got set up at home, the first thing my team did was start to take a look at what we were working on and make some quick decisions on whether or not those products or their features were going to be immediately relevant. And we just started a discussion on if we were in the shoes, both of consumers, and as our customers, what would we really want right now? And what would bring us helpful tips or advice in terms of how to navigate our marketplace? And I don't know, Ian, if you remember what that first weekend was like. So if we go back to sort of the weekend of March 13th, I know, and I won't admit who, but by the Sunday, there was a device alert in our house that screen time had gone up 99%. We, that first weekend was all about consuming content, almost to a scary degree. And so the first sort of town hall team meeting I ran on the Monday morning as we learned to navigate this new remote working style was everyone's consuming content. Let's take a hard look at the work that we're doing right now. Let's put a few things on ice and pull up and dig deep and look at what's going to really help our customers. So the first thing we did was evaluate the products in the roadmap. There were a few quarters out that we've pulled up and started work on, but we already knew that we had a set of tools and features that, if used differently, could help our customers right now engage with consumers. Part of my team's mandate is also to keep a good tap on what's going on globally. So a number of my team members have worked for marketplaces or manufacturers across the world. We started to reach out to our contacts and figure out what were the other markets up to and doing. And from there, we realized, actually, we have a few things that could help our customers right now. It's just a matter of helping them understand how they might use them in order to engage with consumers.
Okay. And no, it's interesting, as you say. I mean, I know earlier on this week, we were looking at some of the marketplace metrics and trying to understand, how things have changed, in light of the situation and whatnot. And as you say, it was surprising, actually, in a way, because there's still an awful lot of vibrancy and activity on the autotrader marketplace. And people who saw that update would have seen that, there's still around 2 million Canadians per week consuming VDPs, searching for cars. There's still around 50,000 leads a week going through the marketplace to customers. And so that idea of what you're saying, that okay, kind of, the kind of immediate intent to purchase may have changed somewhat and people are researching more, but certainly consumption of the internet has increased, period, and kind of autotrader has been part of that. I mean, even in fact, I think it was last weekend, just the sort of couple of days, there was actually more traffic year over year than there was last year. So there's definitely something to that people are at home still researching, still searching for cars and things like that. So I guess that's, but obviously, we need to be respecting the physical distancing stuff, and certainly not encouraging anybody to leave the house and go to a dealership or whatever. So yeah, I guess that's what you're getting at there, where, okay, how can we pivot and make more tools available that are going to help to create some value there and embellish the connections between the demand we're seeing on the marketplace and obviously our retail customers who are still wanting to have meaningful conversations and move things forward, even if not kind of selling as many cars today or in the very short term. So with that in mind, in the remote selling suite, tell us a little bit more about it. So what's included? You mentioned some of the products. What's included in the suite, and kind of how did you come up with it, and what's the situation right now? Is it live? Is it available?
So we've done our first launch. There are 3 products or features in the launch that came out yesterday. And I'll talk about each of the individual products because they can all be used a little bit differently. So the first idea that came in was, through the early days of COVID and quarantine, we saw internally a little bit of a surge in our creative development team. So this is the team that helps our retailers that have a website with us with the creative elements on their site. And a lot of our retailers were starting to change up the messaging on their sites around how they were able to continue to do business, their standards of safety, quality, how they were supporting the community. So that gave us an idea to say, hey, how could we also help merchandise that on autoTRADER? And we had a product in our toolkit called On the Lot Events. Now, originally what that was designed to do was to help our retailers advertise events that they were running on the lot. It gives a premium placement for a graphic on the vehicle detail page, and also the ability to put that graphic into their photo gallery, both on desktop devices and in our mobile app. So we realized immediately, maybe what we should do is just remind our customers that that product's available, and we can help service and support them to create the graphics to be able to educate consumers on how they're conducting their business. Whether it's going to be for a transaction in the short to midterm or a lead connection that they keep in the future, what is their promise to safety and social distancing, and how are they continuing to run their business during these times? So we thought that was a great first idea out of the gate in terms of a very graphical and visual way to merchandise on our site just how the business is running today. So that's idea and concept number 1. And then as a team, as I talked about, we're all spending more time online, reaching out to other global partners. Everybody is spending time online. Even the shoppers that might have been hesitant to do any sort of retail or commerce transaction online, and there might be some that would think at a time that a car purchase is a rather large purchase to be looking at online, behaviors are changing. And this time will be forcing people to do their research and do their shopping online. So we already had a chat product on the site. And even now, and through the early days, we are still seeing active engagement in chat from consumers trying to reach out and get information from dealers. So the original idea was, let's remind our dealers to be active, make sure you've got people watching for those chats, responding to consumers, keeping those consumers engaged with your business. It'll be a great follow-up for later as well. But there's a few features in the chat product that we weren't sure that our customers were aware of, or maybe thought about how they could use it differently, specifically video. So it is possible to record a video walk around or tour of the car and be able to engage and send that through chat to keep a consumer engaged that cannot come to the lot right now. Likewise, we have an instant cash offer product where consumers are still able to do their valuations online. Those are still leads that can be followed up at a later date. It indicates an element of engagement with your inventory, or potentially a need that that consumer might have to get out of their current car. And we just thought about reminding dealers that chat's very important, both chat and text. We've seen increases on reaching out to some of our partners and other companies globally. They're all seeing the same thing, that chat's very active. So really the reminder to our retailers is to have someone available to answer the chats. Look at the types of questions that the consumers are asking, and remember, you do have the option to send video through your chat if you want to have a bit of a closer engagement and show consumers more about the car.
Isn't it? Yeah, as you were saying, I noticed the other day that the consumer engagement with chat is increasing on our site and other sites and stuff. I wonder what the kind of the psychology behind that is. Apart from just it's kind of basically a good idea to offer consumers more options of ways to get in touch with the dealer. That's always going to be a good thing, but maybe there's something about the kind of the sort of the human interaction element or the live element of it that is more attractive at this time than just sending an email or something. Maybe that's kind of related to the fact that a lot of us are obviously spending a lot more time in our homes. Okay, great. So we have so on the lot events. Sounds fantastic, and actually that lines up really well with some of the advice that we were hearing on the video panel that we did last week with Matt Lawson and Jody Gill and Nuno Loureiro, where the guys were talking about if you are a dealership and you are able to offer things like test drive drop off or delivery or different things that your dealership is doing to respect physical distancing and whatnot. You have to switch up your messaging, let consumers know about that, because that's your new kind of value proposition, because that's what they're looking for. And it sounds like on the lot events, it's a great medium for that message, right? So if you're offering things like that, that's how you let users know when they're looking at your VDP that you do offer some of those things. So that's great. So on the lot events and chat.
Hey, on that topic, that just reminded me of something with so our instant cash offer product is where a consumer can go through online and do an appraisal on their car and value that's guaranteed for a certain amount of time pending an on-site appraisal from a dealer. And prior to COVID, we were just about to launch something. We were studying something because we had a number of customers that their approach was to go and pick up the car from the consumer. And they were having the highest conversion rates in our program because we had other retailers that were having trouble getting the consumer to show up on the lot. So we had a few that were just tackling it by saying, I'll come to you. I'll come and do the appraisal. I'll come and pick up the car. And their conversion rates were very high. So it indicates a little bit of a shift in terms of what consumers are looking for in terms of convenience and the types of services that we might come out within our industry. It's a very challenging time for our industry right now, but I'm also very positive and hopeful that this is forcing us to think differently about our businesses, and consumers will demand us to work with them differently. And we're already seeing hints of that in the products and services we have. So I think as a partner to our retailers, what you'll continue to see us do is look for little nuggets like that we continue to work on with our customers and figure out new ways to offer services or promote services on our site. So a little bit of a sidebar there, but as a team, we were talking about that yesterday because it gives us sort of the starting point of ideas often when we look at what was working pre this situation and what we think we're going to emerge like as a business post this situation.
That's super interesting. Yeah, I mean, all the research certainly that kind of we've conducted here at Trader, and obviously other studies that we've all kind of seen, a lot of it does point to there being significant and probably permanent sort of changes in the way that people think about things, the way not just automotive, but the way that they shop, their attitudes to different things. And I think all industries are going to experience some kind of sort of meaningful change when we do come out the other side of this. And it's like you said, a move towards something that's more convenient. It's so interesting that just that one thing of coming to collect the car completely changes the kind of conversion from lead and generating a certificate to actually transacting and the dealer acquiring the car. Those things do make a big difference, basically, to the conversion. And so if you're able to do that kind of thing and then promote it through on the lot events, you're probably onto a winner.
Yeah.
That's great. And so we've covered on the lot events and chat. Were there any other elements of the remote selling suite right now?
So currently there's one more element of the suite, and it's a product that we had just launched in February called Reserve It. And what Reserve It does is it allows a consumer to place a deposit on the car and hold it for a period of time that's at the dealer's discretion. So it's a highly qualified, engaged consumer that wants to make sure the car is available for them when they show up at the lot. So that was the original intent of the product. We've included it in the remote selling suite because that hold period and how it is run operationally by our dealer partners is really up to the dealer. If anything, it is a high signal of intent and engagement of a consumer that is actively shopping for a vehicle wants to make sure, wants to know that the vehicle's there. We included it in the suite because in some of our discussions with some of the other marketplaces, in markets that might have been dealing with the COVID epidemic for longer than we have, they are seeing an increase in consumers attempting, asking, or actually reserving inventory. And what we're hearing and what we're expecting, I mean, nobody knows what's going to happen. There's a lot of theories, there's a lot of predictions, but we do expect, based on some recent research that you've just run on the site, Ian, that purchase behaviors for vehicles are likely to change, that this sense of social distancing and consumers wanting to stay safe and be in a secure environment isn't going to change anytime soon. And that could have a very positive impact on vehicle ownership. So we're putting that product into the suite as a way for consumers to continue to engage with inventory that they're interested in, whether they're able to purchase that inventory right now or it's something that they're thinking about and looking for in the future. We still think it's a great mechanism to connect to the consumer, have a conversation, understand what the situation is, and whether or not the car can actually be sold now or in the future. It's still a very active connection that we want to help make between consumer and retailer.
Yeah, it makes complete sense. I mean, I suppose thinking about our own lives and kind of consumer behavior. Obviously, the pandemic has kind of come along, but as we know, there's an awful lot of people that were either in the market or maybe actually they're a key worker or an essential worker and that they need a car now, or leases are coming up. That there's still going to be situations where people need cars, and I think that most consumers kind of see these kind of tasks. It's about like a kind of to-do list, and they want to make progress on these things. So, if on the to-do list, a big thing is, well, I need to get a new car, or I've been planning to switch out my car. Even if they're not physically able to kind of leave their house and actually go down and walk down to the dealership and transact, being able to do something tangible, like put a deposit on the car and say, okay, that's done. That's the car I want. It's reserved. It's waiting for me when I'm ready to either view it in person or through a video, or however we choose to transact. It's reserved. It's done. That's like a check kind of thing. So I can see how, especially at this time, that would be super useful for the buyer, but also for the retailer to know, okay, that's a serious lead, because they're actually putting a deposit on there, asking me to hold this car. That is super high intent, right?
Yeah. And as you know, from a product perspective, ideas either come from talking to our dealer partners and trying to understand a problem in their business that we think we can solve, or looking at the data that we have on our site. So what we're doing right now is looking at exactly that. How many consumers are engaging with the inventory? What are they doing? How many saved searches? Are they saving vehicles? What kind of history are they building up on the site? How are they evaluating? All of these things give us clues on products and features we either have in our toolkit, already in our roadmap, or new things we're starting to build now in order to help support a real change and shift on how consumers are continuing to look at content and be ready for what's going to happen when we're released from the current state of quarantine.
Absolutely. And so the remote selling suite and the tools that we've gone through today on the Lot Advanced Chat and Reserve It. What's the future of the remote selling suite? Will it evolve, or what's the plan?
Yeah, there's about 3 to 4 other features we're working through right now. They're really for along the same lines, but some slightly different purposes. So really the problem that we're looking to solve and the topic groupings that we're focused on are engagement. So consumer to retailer engagement, driving engagement, supporting different ways to engage. How do you promote on our site? Different ways of doing business. How do we answer consumer questions in the easiest possible way? So it's similar to what is there now, but I'd say more interesting in the second set that will come out. So things to help with conversion. So tools that will drive insight to help with conversion. There is some advancements that we're looking at in our chat platform right now to do more in the space of video and more in the space of text. We're evaluating right now what will be the appropriate time to roll that one out. Understanding that operations of our customers are severely changed right now. So there's some things that we will still be reaching out to the community and to the market to understand what might be a good time to introduce some changes there. Some interesting things. We have something in development right now that we're trying to get out for the end of the month to help promote some different ways of doing business connected to what we've learned through our instant cash offer product and conversion that's influenced by being able to facilitate business with a consumer remotely. And then a couple of ideas we've scraped up from talking to some of the other markets, both in the automotive space and also in other marketplaces that might be horizontal or vertical marketplaces in other areas of business. So looking across how the real estate agency industry is coping, recruiting. So really, we're just doing a lot of fact finding and idea generation right now, but there are definitely products in development as we speak to get ready to add to this suite. And the intent is to provide ways to help our customers right now keep strong engagement with consumers and be ready to transact on inventory as soon as they can.
Fantastic. So it's kind of following, like you mentioned, that tried and true process that you have where you're empathizing with retailers and thinking about their needs and you know, in this scenario, kind of what problems they have, and then thinking, well, how can we solve that for them? And then on the other side, using all of the consumer data and the insights and intelligence that we see from the way consumers are using the site and whatnot, research as well as metrics, to find those clues, as you were saying, and sort of put the two together, I guess. And in that way, you're going to be developing some of these products and ideas to help keep creating those connections, keep creating value and solving problems for dealers and consumers, basically.
Right. Whether they're of immediate value right now or in the coming days, weeks to months, everything that we're working on will help support through the period of transition that we're all going through. And I'm quite grateful to some of the changes we've made because it's made us look differently at the work that we're doing and challenge ourselves. And I know someone said to me, when you're faced with extreme challenge, that's when you see the best of innovation come out. And I'm really confident that the features that we're going to introduce to the market, both from a consumer perspective to help consumers find exactly what they're looking for, and to our dealer partners, are going to be very helpful. And that's our priority and our mission right now. We've moved things around and brought up to the top the things that we think are going to make a difference in the coming weeks to months.
So in terms of getting started with the remote selling suite for those retailers that are watching this, who is this available to, and how could they get started?
So it's available to all our customers. On our website, go.trader.ca, if you do a /RSS, you'll come to a landing page where you can learn a little bit more about all the products and see some graphics, what they look like in action. On there's a form where you can sign up for 1, 2, 3 of the features, any mix that you're interested in. And then we'll be in touch and help you onboard, whether that's to help you with your creative element for the on-the-lot events. Make sure you know how to use the video component of chat. It could just be some retraining, or get you set up for reserving, get you onboarded onto that product. We have our remote employee base ready to help answer questions and onboard customers, and also take feedback, because we're interested, we're listening, and if you have additional feedback for us of something you'd like us to be working on, we'd really like to hear it. So please go to that site and fill out the form, or reach out to your contact at autoTRADER, and everybody knows what's going on, so we'll get you the help and the onboarding support to get going with these features.
That's great. Thanks, Joe. And we'll put a link underneath this video as well to that page where folks can go and learn a little bit more about the tools, and as you said, kind of get in touch with us and sort of start that conversation. Are these things going to be right for you, and so on. So look, it's been an absolute pleasure learning about the remote selling suite, or at least what I've learned now is kind of phase one of it. It sounds like there's some really exciting things coming further on as you continue to evolve it. But wow, what a great start on the lot events, chat, and reserve it, the deposit product. I think this is a great way to help our retail customers and our consumers continue to make connections in this kind of challenging time that we're going through. So thanks very much, Jill. Anything else that you'd like to add before we wind this up?
No, just more of an outreach and a call for any of our customers or consumers that might be watching this video. If you think there's something missing that we could be doing that would be helpful, we're all ears. We'd like to hear, discussion, community forums, and talking about what we could be doing differently to support is where the best ideas come from. So we have our ears open. We're here to help and support, and we're quite excited to deliver things that can help drive meaningful connections and keep our industry very well supported for when we can get back to normal life in whatever way that looks like.
I think that's a key thing as well, that as you mentioned there, it's, we, as an industry, we're collectively battling this thing, and it is unprecedented in terms of the impacts and the specific nuances. It's not like a regular recession. We have this physical distancing element and provincial shutdown element, and I don't think anybody has all of the exact right answers off the bat. So I think that's a really important sentiment as well, is that as you said, we want to be working with customers and hearing their point of view, the challenges they're having, and we kind of collectively as an industry and certainly as a company, we want to work together and as quickly as possible get to the solutions that are going to help us in terms of keeping the industry moving. And then, as you said, when we come out of this, it's going to look different. It's going to be different. Consumer behavior is going to be different. There's a bunch of stuff. So we have to navigate this all together. But, the world is changing. It's and it's good to know and to hear from you as well that, we've pivoted and we are ready for that change, and we're kind of changing with it and empowering customers to be able to change with it as well. So Jill Hadfield, Chief Product Officer, Trader Corporation. This has been awesome. It's been great speaking with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I can let my kids out of their rooms now.
Yes, indeed. I'll speak to you soon. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and follow the links underneath this video if you're interested in learning a bit more about the remote selling suite. Some great tools in there. Thanks, everyone. Until next time.
Thanks. Bye.